call her the dazzling darling of two continents. In Europe, she is still one of the top fashion models. And here in America, she's brought disco to a new and exciting level. Welcome the dazzling darling of disco, Grace Jones.
Quelque chose, il est entre dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais le corps. C'est le oui pour moi, pour lui dans la vie. Il me l'a dit, le jour pour la vie. Je l'aperçois, alors je sens dans moi.
Miss Grace Jones. Grace Jones. Let's hear it for a break, game. All right. You've had a rather interesting career, both as a model and as a singer. How did you get your start?
Well, as a model or as a singer?
Both. How was the transition?
Well, the transition happened while I was having dinner with some modeling friends and people, and I started dancing on top of a table and singing.
That's a good way to start off, I tell you.
I got discovered.
I hear also that you were once thinking about becoming a Spanish professor.
Oh, yes. Well, I started taking Spanish in high school because my great-grandfather was Cuban, so I started speaking Spanish from I was very young in Jamaica. And I picked up the language so fast that when I went to school, I got more marks in Spanish than I did in English. So I started, but I think that was because of my musical ear all along, you know, why I picked up languages so fast. So...
What's ahead for the amazing Grace Jones?
Oh, films and lots more good music, and maybe politics, I don't know.
You were recently awarded by one of the music trade publications as being one of the most outstanding disco performers of 1977, right?
Yes.
That
was fantastic. Billboard magazine. Yes, they had the disco convention, and I won that award. I was very, very happy. You know, I write some of my material too. You know, so I'll keep writing, and I hope to get a lot more awards too. You know, because I do like to work very hard.
I'm sure that you will get more awards.
Fun.
Grace, we always like to ask our special guests if they have any words for aspiring entertainers or models.
And did they?
Yeah, they did inspire. Yeah, they did.
Oh, well, all I can tell you is keep on trying whatever you do and really believe in it. I think that's very important. You have to believe in it. If not, then it's a waste of your time and you won't ever be happy, you know.
Okay, Grace Jones, thank you very much, and drop by again.
Thank
Love to have you. The beautiful people from Bronx High get down in the Super Circle Boogie Machine. Up next on Soul Alive. Soul Alive Encores are special because they mean it was so nice we had to do it twice. Once again, here's Grace Jones.
When I'm feeling lonely, someone telephone me. It's getting hard to pass my time. Take me out of dining, watch me while I'm smiling. Baby, it's a waste of time. I need a man, perhaps a man like you. I need a man to make my dreams come true. Say that you will find him creeping up behind him, fooling round the town all day. Well, I'm underestimated, hardly underrated. Can there be a man, perhaps a man like you? I need a man to make my dreams, and I need a man. And then I won't be feeling lonely, knowing I'm the only one. He'll understand all that I'm feeling deep inside me, knowing that at last it's gone. Oh well, oh well. I'm getting tired of looking, wasting all my cooking, ending in a dreadful row. Can somebody tell me, say to me or tell me why I'm feeling lonely? Well, I need a man, perhaps a man like you. I need a man to make my dreams, and I need a man. And then at night I won't be lonely, knowing I'm the only one. He'll understand all that I'm feeling deep inside me, knowing that at last it's gone. Maybe that I'm dreaming, can't say that I've seen him. Somehow I've just got to find someone understanding, low enough to hand him all that I've built up inside. I need a man to make the dreams come true.
What's your name, first of all?
Susan.
Okay.
I must say I enjoy your show, but I'd first like to get you to talk about just your background, coming from Jamaica, and what moving to New York, and like what sort of your father was a priest in the Pentecostal church, and did you sing gospel, or was that an influence on you?
Well, no, not really. Growing up in Jamaica, my father wasn't a priest at the time or a Pentecostal preacher, but the services were quite calm, you know, none of that sort of American-oriented black Pentecostal music, you know, where it's a lot of singing and clapping and, how do you say, it's more, I thought it was quite fun when I first experienced it. So it wasn't really that my background. As musically, it was very much more a classical musical background. You know, the piano, playing piano seriously, which I didn't mind it until I started getting my fingers beaten, you know.
And then you moved to New York?
Upstate New York, in Syracuse, and I just basically went to school and to church, and that was it. And you know, made some friends, couple, not many, couple of girlfriends. And I think it wasn't until I went to the theater in school was when I really started having the experience of coming more out and, you know, realizing my myself, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And then you went to Europe and sort of started a modeling career there, or you went to visit your twin brother?
Well, no. I mean, those are all shortcuts. You know, there were a lot of things in between. There was I lived in Philadelphia for a while, where I did a lot of theater, and then after that I was modeling in New York, and then from there I went to Europe, and then I started doing theater and modeling. You know, not so much the theater there, but more modeling than anything. And then I started singing at that point, which was when I recorded That's the Trouble, Sorry, I Need a Man, you know. And I just enjoyed being model and traveling a lot and being in Europe, you know. It was really nice. And my brother was living with me at that period. So we lived together and we did a lot of work together. And musically he's very, very talented, you know, but I don't know, he didn't seem to follow it up until just recently.
I was wondering what started your singing style, or what started from coming from modeling and then to go into singing. You seem to have carried that certain kind of modeling style into your...
Well, I thought, yeah. Well, what happened was I went from the theater into modeling into singing. So when I started singing, I really found a way of fusing modeling and the theater, you know. So it's, but really modeling not in the all-American style. Modeling just basically in my style, you know, which in America wasn't really that greatly accepted at the beginning, but in Europe they like this individuality. So I put together, you know, the style of modeling and the theater and the music, so it sort of became like more of a Broadway show from the 30s or something, I don't know. And this fusion of all the three things, you know, made everything more different, more exciting, you know. For me, I thought it was really a lot of fun because I was still doing what I wanted to do, even though I never thought I would be a singer.
Did you have any sort of singing training other than...
Not at that point. I started doing singing exercises in Paris, you know, but I wasn't very pleased with my professor. She made me very nervous and very, you know, uptight. And after when I came to America, I started studying with a woman called Helena Mambo, who was very so eccentric, you know, really crazy. At least I'm sure a lot of people look at her and think she was, you know, completely out of it. But she taught more than just a vocal exercise. She taught a lot in speech and just really relaxing and finding out what is your voice and, you know, make it a more individual thing rather than just copying other singers, you know, or other sounds, making it really individual. And I thought that was a really good find for me, to find somebody like that to work with.
So did you start singing then in Europe, and then did you come back to the States
Yeah.
at that point?
Yeah.
And what was your reaction? What sort of following did you start up in the United States? And Europe, you know, is much different tastes than in the
Well, no, in Europe I had a mixture of the fashion crowd, sort of, you know, society fashion people. Then when I came to the States, it was very sort of a audience from women's wear, daily, and photographers, models, and artists, writers, and people like that. You know, some people are looking for something a bit avant-garde, I guess. And that's where my audience began. And then from there, I did a tour of every gay club, which was a completely different audience. They had never been played to, I think, on that, I don't know, They were never really, no one really toured any gay clubs, and they were quite fun. I used to really go a lot to the gay clubs and a lot dance all night and everything, and they were really willing to do something different. Even technically, they weren't really set up technically at all to do shows, a lot of them, but they were really willing to have the experience. So they went out all the way, you know, in order to help for this sort of new experience.
What prompted your decision to play the gay clubs? Is there something?
Well, I think it had to do with, you know, PR and booking agents, and just the type of show that we were doing was it wasn't your typical rock and roll act where, you know, you get up with, like everybody, with a band, you know, and all the musicians behind are playing and you just sort of sing. It was more of a theatrical thing, so you sort of had to find, I think, in a subconscious way, go towards clubs that never did anything before, because if you went towards, say, your typical rock and roll club and you come up with an act like the one we came up with, no one would have really gone for it. They would have said, nah, you know, we want to go with what we're accustomed to for the last 50 years, you know. And they were really willing to do something different in the gay clubs, even though they never did it before. And I didn't want to fit in a mold of doing something something the same that's been going on and on and on. You know, I thought I was really into more theatrical with the music and with, of course, not really fashion, because to me fashion is usually means trendy, but a certain style, you know, and that really opened the doors for it all to happen. You know.
What do you think of it, though? That largely your audience is gay, or that you are playing female straight?
Well, after a while it started growing, you know. I mean, it was no longer just the gay audience. It went from the gay audience to a very sort of very heterosexual, young kids, black kids. With the last album, I think it started really crossing over to everybody. You know, more or less, I think they started concentrating on the music than, you know, just saying, well, it's just an, you know, sort of outrageous act for a cult audience. I like the fact being a cult. I think it's a strong foundation. You know, that you have a very loyal audience, not just people that are just there one day and then gone the next. I think I still play to people that I played to 4 or 5 years ago in, you know, small clubs. I still play small clubs. I still play whatever, big clubs, you know. So sort of move around quite a bit. So it's very exciting in the fact that I can still grow, you know. I'm sure some people get, I don't know, I think some people probably get jealous or, you know, want to keep you just to themselves, you know. But I think once they find out that you haven't really left them, but you're just really growing and experiencing things and being able to mature, because I really started out as a baby in the music business, and I still, in a way, after 4 years, I still consider myself a baby in the business, even though I have grown a bit. I don't think that I am a master, you know, of music, you know.
I definitely agree that you do have a very devoted thing. We interviewed a lot of people before
Yeah.
you came on, and they were really...
They've been there since the beginning.
Grace does.
Yeah,
You say it,
yeah.
and we would go on and on. But there is definitely... You have also... A lot of people had never seen you before, but they would go on and on about
Yeah.
your style and your individualism. Like, well, how do you know that if you've never seen her? Oh, they knew.
Well, that's nice to know, because I don't really feel like I should have to, you know, do a big compromise in order to please new fans or, you know, new people that are getting involved. I think as long as I'm really convinced in what I'm doing, that I really can just, you know, go ahead and concentrate on what I really feel that I would like to do, what makes me happy. I think if I just had to band and do the same old stuff, I wouldn't be very happy with it, and I don't think that the audience would be either.
Mm-hmm. I'm also wondering just sort of about you musically. It just seems like that you've attracted along with the gay, it's sort of like a disco audience, or it's sort of, it's played a lot in discos and stuff, along with other disco music. But listening to it, it's more. It seems to me it's a lot more rock and roll. It's like it's really strong.
Well, it's a mixture. It really is. Each song, in my opinion, has when we're in the studio recording, every song has its own heartbeat. Whether it's a really crazy rock and roll winger, it all depends on the lyrics and the melody and the attitude of the song. Then there's some songs that are very soft, like a bluesy, jazzy, like Breakdown, which is, you can hardly say a breath in the words. It's very soft. And then, Love is a Drug has to become interpreted completely different. I'm happy in a way that I've got the versatility or the openness in my mind, not just to like one particular sound. I think I would get totally bored by it. And then there's songs like Pull Up to the Bumper, which you can dance to, but which is also a very sexy, bluesy song too, with a really good rhythm. And there's African rhythms. I just believe good songs are good songs, and they should be treated individually, which is they're recorded individually. We don't just go in and say 10 songs and record them all the same. We record each song one by one from the egg breaks, like from It's a Baby. And whatever it feels comfortable, the sound with each song is when it's working, you can tell when it's in the groove. It's music, people would say, the term. But I don't really think about, whether it's disco or rock or reggae or each song is really treated as a gem of its own, and that's why the versatility, comes about.
Okay. I wanted to talk to sort of about Gay Night in Marine World and how you came about doing that, or if that has any sort of meaning or anything to you with what playing here.
Well, I think it has a meaning, and really it's one of my best audiences, that I could ever look for. Everyone, they know my background. They followed me, a lot of people, for a long time. And as far as politically speaking, I really believe in expressing oneself sexually and otherwise, having your own beliefs and having that freedom. And it gives me really great pleasure, and I feel really good because I can just come out and interpret the songs and feel that I'm loved and appreciated. It's nothing worse than having an audience that sits there, talking to the person next door while I'm performing. And I like to feel in total command, and I'm really being appreciated. And I think doing this performance is really gives me that pleasure.
Yeah, I would say you definitely had it.
Thank you.
I was wondering, would you mind just talking about what you do with the audience, how you relate to the audience, as sort of a somewhat disciplinarian or just sort of,
A disciplinarian now.
So it's sort of like a, react. I mean, you definitely relate to them in a sort of somewhat sort of, coming out and yelling and, making...
Well, discipline was a large part of my life in my early days, and I think with a lot of kids it is. I don't know if the American kids is that way, but growing up in Jamaica, and I think the sort of more British type of life on the British rule and everything, it's a very disciplinary upbringing. And I think after I freaked out so much after having so much discipline, I'm able to look or appear like I'm really, into discipline, which I am. I think it's very important. But at the same time, I like to be able to break that down, totally, almost like a schizophrenic personality or person. I think we're all a bit schizophrenic, anyway. So I think the public sort of understands this kind of switch, you know, from coming out almost really super disciplined and, you know, what's right, what's wrong, and then at one point saying, you know, F it, whatever, I don't care what's wrong or what's right, you know, this is what I feel. So it goes from a sort of perfectionism to a sort of spontaneous reaction, you know. And I think that the balance of the two is really important. And I play upon it a lot in the act, you know. I think it's sort of obvious. It's sort of a confusion almost of, or what is she thinking really? Is she really, you know, disciplined, or is she really completely, what's the word? Somebody that hates discipline, you know? There's a word for it, but I can't think of it right now.
Does your personality go along somewhat with your, how does your
Yeah, oh,
personality relate to what
definitely.
you see
Sure.
out there?
Oh, a lot, yeah. You know, it's emphasized and it's played on a lot. It's exaggerated, but a lot of it has to do with my upbringing and the different changes I've gone through, you know.
Have you ever had any trouble in clubs of like someone hitting you back after you?
Oh yeah, I've had people react very violently, and it's funny because, you know, a lot of what I do, even if it seems very strict or very rough, very hard, you know, I was sort of a tomboy, but I'm still playing, but in a hard way, you know. I'm playing hard, you know. But I've been reacted to differently, you know, people pulling off my breastplate, and but usually it's because they just want to make some publicity, not necessarily because they're mad at me for my attitude. It's usually for completely different reasons, and usually I just let them have it in the jaw, you know. I say, okay, sit down, or boom, boom, you know, because usually it's not for any real, true-hearted reason. It's just to say, oh, well, let me see if I get some publicity from pulling off her top or something, or smacking her, or I don't know, something like that. But, you know, usually it ends up a little bit crazy.